What if I told you that a 33 card commander deck is going to change the way that you build decks forever? I was having a conversation with someone in the comments of my last video where I talked about deck templates and the construction of a mathematically sound commander deck. We had a brief exchange about limited 40 card formats, and it got me thinking. With how many commander players come straight into Magic via commander these days, rather than 60 or 40 card formats, this means that many Magic the Gathering players aren't learning a lot of the arguably critical play and deck building lessons that one learns by playing limited or standard. One of the best things about building a deck with less cards, whether that's a pre-release or in a draft, is how little flexibility you have. Your deck has to be built around a very specific focus or it simply doesn't work. You just don't have the real estate for it. Every card in your deck has a high impact, and when your curve is a little too high, or you don't have enough card advantage, or you don't have enough lands, you feel it immediately and constantly. Unlike in Commander, your deck simply doesn't have 60 other cards or 10 mulligans to hide behind. And this led me to thinking, imagine if Commander decks were only 40 cards. This would make deck building so much simpler. So, enter the 33 card Commander deck. In the average game, most of us draw about a third of the way into our deck. So I thought, if we want our deck to do a certain thing really well, why not just make a 33 card deck? Then, fine-tune it to perfection and replicate it as best as possible 2 more times with other cards. Cutting down your deck like this will give you focus on clarity on your game plan that you can't really get otherwise. For newer players, it can be absolutely overwhelming to try and deck build, and making the problem smaller and more focused and limiting what's likely to happen in a single game makes everything so much more tangible rather than esoteric. This 33 card deck also makes it much easier to both come up with a new concept and then test it a bunch by either goldfishing or even giving it a trial run with your friends. A test that, because of less variance with only 33 cards, will really show you how your core game plan will play out in the ideal game much more quickly and reliably. Lastly, I think many think they want randomness in Commander, when what they really want is uniqueness. They want to be a silly goose doing silly goose things, but being a silly goose is only cool if you can reliably be a goose and not a pigeon. That really cool deck or interaction is only cool if you can make it happen somewhat reliably, and you don't want to be that person doing their best peaked in high school impersonation that's telling the table how crazy the deck was this one game, when in reality their deck hasn't done that thing for a year. Using this method of constructing a deck is going to make your deck one incredibly reliable, yet possibly silly goose.